I just stumbled across a little thing called soaking. And I just learned what it was. So, New York Post article says, "What is soaking? The Mormon teen sex act gone viral." Okay. The article says the following. A new viral video reveals what Mormon teens are doing to get around the no-sex rule. It's penetration without thrusting, an act known as soaking, and its hashtag has some 25.5 million tags on TikTok to date. What's more, in order for the couple to further benefit from soaking, a friend helps them out by bouncing on the bed next to them to get things moving, or jump-humping. Quote, "When I returned from my Mormon mission and moved to Provo, Utah, I heard rumors about soaking, which is when a male places his penis in a woman's vagina, and that is it. No moving, no thrusting, no orgasms." 36-year-old Gary Knauer, who lives in Oregon, told the Post, "I talked to a few friends who had soaked. I hear that Mormons still do this. While on my mission, I had several discussions with my fellow missionaries concerning sex in general. Some talked about soaking. Some would discuss that anal sex is also a way to keep one's virginity," recalled Knauer, who removed his name from church records in April 2020. So I've actually heard that last one before, that there were reports a long time ago, like a decade ago, of Christians who were doing anal and saying, it's not really sex because we're not reproducing, we're not doing it in those holes. So since it's the back door, it doesn't really count. Now, they go on in this article, and there's a healthy dose of skepticism, which I think is merited, because I as well am skeptical that, like, how widespread is this thing really? Probably not too widespread. But have some people tried this shit? Thinking that they're, like, beating the system? I would think so. I would think so. I mean, what is there to say about this? To all my people who are listeners, the 1% of you in my audience who are actually very religious and take it very seriously, I have good news for you. God really doesn't care what you do with your pee-pee. Of all the things happening in the world, children with cancer, natural disasters, extreme poverty, some wild percentage doesn't even have functioning plumbing, war. You think God is sitting up there like, hey, y'all, I better not see anything out of the ordinary with your naughty parts. You better keep it in your pants. Don't you dare have fun, have pleasure, be happy, experiment. Not allowed. Not allowed. And it's also hilarious because if God really is almighty and all-powerful, wouldn't he just think like, well, this loophole is illegitimate, so I'm getting rid of this loophole, and this is just as much sinning as regular sex is? I mean, they act like God is the same as, they act like God wouldn't see like the massive tax loopholes we have, for example. Like, oh, the rich should pay more in taxes, but if you have an army of lobbyists and lawyers, you can get around it, and you could find a way to pay basically nothing in taxes. God could see that and be like, you're still dodging the taxes, so that's still immoral. By the same token, it's like, yeah, I have the rules on sex. You dodge the rules on sex. You think you found a loophole, but I obviously know that it's a sex act, so I'm going to come after you for it. Come, perhaps not the right word to use in this context. That's the other saddest thing I've ever seen is no orgasm. So I'm going to put my thing in your thing, and let's just do nothing, and nobody climaxes. Why do you think that's a good idea? Like, if anything, aren't you worse off by the end of that? Because now you're just all horned up, and there was no release? Here's my advice to the Mormon teens, assuming, of course, they're of age. I don't want anybody underage doing anything crazy, but if you're of age, just go ahead and do it. Have fun. Forget the soaking. Forget the weirdness of it all. You'll be fine. I promise. It's not sinning. But, we have fun on this show, guys, but there are people out there who are really convinced that, God doesn't want you to be gay, or God doesn't want you to have sex before marriage, or all these things. we don't even know if there is a God. Like, and never mind that, even if there was a God, I used to know this number, but I forgot this number. How many religions are there? I think it's 2,000 something. 4,300 religions in the world. I was way off. There are 4,300 religions in the world. How sure are you got the right one? Somehow you just happen to, through a lucky roll of the dice, I just happen to be born in the one correct religion. So that's why God doesn't want me to feel pleasure. Guess I better use a loophole. We don't know if there is a God. If there is a God, how do we know which religion is true, or if any of the religions are true? Maybe it's just a deistic God who just created everything and then is out playing Parcheesi somewhere or some shit. We don't know, dog. We don't know. I swear to you, God doesn't care what you do with your naughty bits. God doesn't care. I mean, don't commit any crimes. Don't do anything immoral. Don't do anything unethical. But outside of that, you want to have fun? Go ahead and have fun. Because nobody, without the weirdness of religion and people really believing it, nobody would do soaking. Let's do this incredible tease of a thing where I just put it in and then somebody bounces next to me, but I gotta make sure I don't finish, because that would be terrible. None of it's real, guys. You've been fed myths and fairy tales and absurd rules that don't make sense. And it's really terrible because it undermines good advice. Like, maybe there's some Mormon parents out there who are generally good, and they're like, hey, you shouldn't steal. You shouldn't hurt anybody physically, you give all this good advice, and then there's like, definitely also don't seek pleasure in any way, shape, or form. And it's like, well, that's terrible advice. Why do you put the terrible advice next to the good advice, therefore undermining the good advice? God, it's just so goofy, man. It's just so goofy. Soaking is the saddest thing I've ever heard in my life. You have my permission as your parasocial internet daddy. Enjoy your life. Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.